Hey, what's up everybody, Life Without Pants here with another Path of Exile build guide video. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at our Corrupting Fever Gladiator. And this is an excellent build. It's got the bleed pops. It's a bit like the old explodey chest. It's just the best mapper I think I've probably ever played. Let's just get in here and show you what it's capable of. So I've got a relatively well-rolled cemetery map. We've got Polished Legion, Harbinger, Divination card, and Ambush Scarabs. We can go ahead and chuck on more Harbingers. Maybe put in some Einar as well. And let's take a look. So this build, like I said, is really absolute A-tier mapping. You just chuck on your Corrupting Fever buff, and then everything around you just is decimated. So it's largely relies on our tornado shot. You don't have to go with tornado shot, but I found it's very good. You can start off, if you're league starting this build, you can start off with Kinetic Blast, which is, you know, it's got everything we need to make the build work. But you can see here, honestly, there's nothing that really stands in the way. Obviously, I've got a Headhunter, but the buffs for the Headhunter don't make a huge amount of difference. They just really help at the high end. This build is relatively good for bossing. It depends what kind of bossing you want to do, but with enough investment, it can do bossing quite comfortably. The layers of defense for this build are insanely good. We got 6k life over here. Our defenses are capped. We've also got 77 on one resist, 76 on the others, 0% chaos res, as we have a few passives on the tree and cluster notables that are providing us with lots and lots and lots of chaos resistance. It's got a very decent amount of armor, 61k. It's really useful for. I think this is the first build where I consistently stayed alive whilst leveling to 100. I didn't get too frustrated at all with the leveling process. And yeah, like I said, it's absolutely just an amazing bosser, amazing mapper rather. And I would highly recommend everybody to just try it out once. It can be pretty low investment on the low end. You know, you can get going with not much at all. And also this, once you get higher investment, say, enough to be able to buy a Headhunter, or I think maybe if you spent like 2 Headhunters on the whole build, you would have something that looks like this. We're 100% ailment immune. We've got, maximum spell suppression possible. It's really just an absolute beast of a build. Let's just have a look at this Legion. So it can easily break out a whole Legion. It's not a problem for it at all. Mainly, the issue with Legions for me is mainly that I'm really bad at the game. So if we see here, yeah, we've got more than half the amount of time left for the Legion, and you can just swan around and destroy everything. So let's go and just, as we've got some speed here, let's go and do the boss so you can see how quick it is on the boss. So it's pretty good. You don't have to worry too much about mechanical stuff. So yeah, that's what the build looks like. And I'm gonna loot, and then we'll take a look at the build. Okay, so this is what our tree looks like. So we start off, we're a duelist, and we're going straight into Art of the Gladiator, then Bravery, and Master of the Arena. We're gonna make a beeline down here to pick up a cluster duel spot, and here we want to have an 8 passive. Large physical damage, and we're going for mainly Master of the Fundamentals and Battle Hardened because it's 35% increased fizz damage. We are fizz damage over time build, so Battle Hardened's really good, and this one as well, Master of the Fundamentals, absolutely great. It gives us a lot more less gear pressure. For our clusters, for our small clusters, we're going with Flow of Life and Student of Decay. So Flow of Life is increased damage over time and chaos resistance, so we get more tanky. And Flow of Life is just extra life and damage over time. We're getting these Flow of Life and Student of Decay on all of our clusters if we can. These ones can be a bit expensive, so you can go with something else. You don't have to have these two. They're just really, really good to upgrade to. So Flow of Life can be a bit expensive because it's increased maximum life, and we do have a lot of life. So we've got 6k life. As far as the rest of the tree goes, we're going through the Scion life wheel, so we're going to pick up a life mastery here. We're going into this physical mastery wheel over here, so we're taking Veteran Soldier and Relentless, and 40% increased physical damage with skills that cost life. We use life tap a lot. Over here, just more, more life. We're taking some extra life over here with Devotion and increased effective non-auras from your non-curse auras from your skills. We pick up a cluster or two, and we've got more life, and then we're taking the whole sovereignty reservation wheel up at the top. We are taking armory mastery because armor is great at the moment. Again, another cluster, another dual socket, and then down here barbarism because we get extra fire resistance, maximum fire resistance, maximum life. It's a lot of great stuff around this side of the tree. Vanquisher we're taking as well because it means that we immediately do 40% increased fizz damage as soon as we hit them. We've got a couple of notables here, and we're taking Resolute Technique. So our hits can never be evaded, but we also never deal critical strikes. There's no reason for us to deal critical strikes. I think my critical chance is very, very low. That's fine. Yeah, 5% chance for critical hits. But also, we never deal them. And then down here, we're taking Unwavering Stance. So we cannot evade enemy attacks, but we also cannot be stunned. So that allows us to, a little bit of extra leeway with our Pantheon. So we don't have to go Brine King because we don't need the stun and block recovery. We don't need Cannot Be Frozen because we're ailment immune. There's a lot in this tree, but it's all really, really good stuff. And of course, we've got some extra Bannerman around here. So we've got some, we're using quite a few auras. I think it's 6. And we've got Champion of the Cause as well. So we're going to get a bit more reservation efficiency. As for our Amulet Anoint, we've gone with Crystal Skin because it's just +1 to all maximum elemental resistances. So, and 20% avoid elemental ailments. Now, +1 may not sound like a lot, but if you are capped on your resistances and you've got 75% resistance, then just taking 1 off means out of the 25% of damage you were going to take, you're going to take 24 instead. So that's 4% less elemental damage for 1 resistance, and it's quite good. So yeah, that's what our tree looks like. Now let's get into the gearing section. But before we do that, just a quick word here from Life Without Pants from the future. Different shirt, different haircut. I just wanted to talk very, very quickly about our Ascendancy. So obviously we're Gladiator, and this build is reliant very heavily on the bleed pops, which you get from gratuitous violence. So bleeding enemies you kill explode, dealing 10% of their maximum life as physical damage, and 20% more physical damage over time, which is huge. Obviously, you can only get this if you go through Blood in the Eyes. So we're going Blood in the Eyes. Attacks have 50% chance to cause bleeding. Attacks maim on hit against bleeding enemies. These are all really, really good. We've also gone with Outmatch and Outlast. So we get Frenzy charges generated and lots more physical damage when we're at maximum frenzy charges. And we've also gone with Arena Challenger for those challenger charges. Those are really, really good. If you can get 10 of them, then you've got 20% more attack and movement speed in total. It's really crazily good. And also it says gain a challenger charge when you kill an enemy while in sand stance. And we have Blood and Sand and Flesh and Stone as well. And so we're in sand stance a lot of the time. So that's it. Now let's get back to that gear. Okay, so let's take a look at the gear we're using. So here we've got a bow. It's just a pretty standard bow for this kind of build. We're just getting a Grove bow. You want to have high attacks per second. So for us, we are at 1.55. That's pretty good. The enchantment we're going for is quality does not increase physical damage, 1% increase attack speed per 8% quality. So we got a little bit extra attack damage. The bow and the body armor, these are the two 6-links you want, and it's probably a lot easier to get a bow with just 2 red and 4 green, as our body armor has, but for whatever reason I don't have that. But the way to make this is, I'm going to put a crafting guide as a separate video for all of the gear that I'm using, every single piece, because it was a big journey for me to go through it. There's a couple of uniques in here, so I'm not going to tell you how to make an Ashes of the Stars or a Circle of Guilt. But for our bow, we're just looking at high level of socketed support gems, physical damage over time multiplier, more damage over time multiplier, and increased phys damage over time multiplier, and +1 to level of socketed gems. This, I would say, my bow is on the low end of what you can craft. It's not as good as it could be. I think I have the tier 3 phys damage over time. Let's take a look. Oh, tier 4, not even tier 3. So yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement here. But for me, this build works absolutely fine as is. So that's the bow. For our gloves, we're gonna go with 2 of the Eldritch crafting mods here for the implicits. So chance to suppress spell damage and physical damage over time multiplier. Obviously, suppress spell damage is a great modifier, and phys damage over time multiplier is just extra damage for us. Here we've just gone for life, resistances, attack speed, and suppress spell damage. I got adds cold damage to attacks, which is, I mean, it's great to have flat cold, but it's not really useful to us as we deal, I think, 70-90% less elemental damage. And increased armor and evasion is just great for our defenses in general. For our boots, we've got some 2-tone boots, but as we are doing Eldritch crafting, then it doesn't matter about the implicit resistances. They're just, these boots are the best base for having high armor and evasion, and you want lots of armor and evasion rating, because evasion means you can get spell suppression or avoid ailments on your gear. And so for us, this is just high move speed. We want to be able to run around a lot. We've gone for 2 resistances, big life, and crafted on chance to avoid ailments. For our body armor, we've gone with Pride has increased aura effect, because that's really increases our damage a lot, and 20% increased effect of non-curse auras from your skills, which again a big boost to our damage, and also it increases our determination aura effect on ourselves. Big spell suppression. Like, this is a really defensive piece, the body armor, so we've gone with all in on that. 33% chance to avoid being stunned we don't need, but we do need the 30% chance to avoid ailments. We've got 2 resistances, 1 good one, 1 less good one, and crafted life on here. And for our helmet, we've got it's a tornado shot enchant, which can be a bit difficult to get hold of, especially with high armor or evasion ratings. We've got 9% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, so that means we can just punch in like maybe 1 extra aura. 36% increased vulnerability curse effect. We've got life, we've got 2 mid-tier resistances. We've got 10% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. So just trying to get in 1 extra aura there, and level of socketed AoE gems and increased area effect. And obviously that means that our determination is at level 23, which is pretty good. You get 2.3k flat armor and a lot of extra. For our belt, Headhunter, this is the best in slot belt. I haven't tried with a Mage Blood, but I think it's just better. You want the Headhunter buffs for mapping build. It's probably just much more comfortable. I'll try it out with a Mage Blood, and if it's terrible, I won't say anything. But if it's good, I'll let you know. But a Headhunter is best in slot. But if you don't have a Headhunter, then this for me was a second build, so I had some cash to throw around by the time I got to this point. But if you don't have a Headhunter, just big life, big resistances. If you can get anything else your build is lacking, then this is a really great spot to do that in. For our quiver, like I said before, we've got a Maloney's. This just means that we can trigger socketed bow skills when we attack with a bow. It's got some life on there, which is nice. It's got some attack speed, which is great. But that's really, this is all you need. For our amulet, we've gone with Ashes of the Stars because it's crazy good. That 30% quality of all skill gems is just, chef's kiss. Oh, it's so good. It's the reason why we have a lot of alternate quality items around, and 20% increased reservation efficiency of skills. That means we get more and more and more auras. Quality attribute modifiers is probably the best the best, the best essence? No, catalyst. It's the best catalyst to have for this. And the anoint for us, because we're trying to build as tanky as possible a character, because mapping can be a little bit, up and down as far as danger spikes go. We're definitely going with Crystal Skin because it's 4% less elemental damage across the board and 20% chance to avoid elemental ailments. And we are, with this and a few other things, our elemental avoidance is 100%, and we got lots and lots of shock avoidance as well. And so yeah, the Ashes of the Stars, honestly, for this build, I would say mandatory. It's absolutely fantastic. For our rings, we've basically got a Circle of Guilt. This is a huge damage bonus. If you get a Herald of Purity, it has 53% increased buff effect and 68% increased physical damage while affected by Herald of Purity. So there's lots and lots and lots of damage to be gotten from this. You also get some attributes, and I went for percent increased maximum life and some extra resistances. Obviously, the cold damage completely unnecessary for us. And for the last piece here, our Moonstone Ring. This is just a vulnerability on hit synthesized ring. We've got the synthesized implicit for vulnerability on hit, and then honestly, this is just where you throw in anything else that your build is missing. So if you don't have lots of life, then spam it until you get lots of life. We've got a bunch of essences on here and life. I think we're pretty set for resistances, but this is the last piece for us that helped us, get to the very next level and cap out all our res to a very comfortable level. As far as flasks go, I've just got immunity to choose freeze and chill. I could take that off because I don't need that anymore. Should probably put something else on there. I've got a decent armor flask, a decent silver flask. So we get Onslaught, a decent ruby flask, because it just means we're doing, we've got fire resistance, like a lot of fire resistance. So if we take damage as fire, then, if we take less fire damage, it's even better for us, and it's just poison immunity. And then for our movement speed is a very standard movement speed flask. I don't think either. Oh, there's actually T1. Surprising to me. But yeah, the flasks are not great, but most of mine I have used when charges reach full, because then I'm under flask effect as much as possible. And like I said, there's a few clusters in here. So the clusters are always just they're going for Battle Hardened and Master the Fundamentals, because that gives us a big amount of resistances and a big amount of damage increase. We've got all the medium clusters that I've got now are Flow of Life and Student of Decay. I started off with, I think it was like Phlebotomist or something like that. They were not great, but it was, I was just going for a Student of Decay because it's extra chaos rares. We've got 0 chaos rares. We're in a nice place for that. A Watcher's Eye that you can take is just anything that starts with damage over time multiplier while affected by malevolence. That's it. That's all you need. It's 22% dot multi basically. For our small jewels, a little little fellas here. I think this one I got it just because it's a Corrupted Blood immunity. It also has Fizz damage over time multi, but you're just going for Fizz damage over time multi or damage over time multi and percent life, and that's basically I think all we've got here. So yeah, here you go. Global Fizz damage is also a useful one. Strength index, obviously a few more attribute points don't hurt, but 7% increased maximum life. Here we've got maximum life, Fizz damage over time multi, global Fizz damage. I lost track of where all the jewels are because there's so many for this. We've got a Forbidden Flame, and that's because we also got Inspirational. When it comes to, I'm not sure where the other one is. Here it is, Inspirational. So that's, I think it's around 10% increased damage. These are nice to have, but completely unnecessary. The build does more than enough damage as it is. You can see this one, we've got just more damage over time multi, max life, and then increased armor. I think when I was searching on the trade site for these, I just put in must have life, and then one of these three things, so Fizz damage over time multi, damage over time multi, etc. And then also would be nice to have a weighted list of these other modifiers like increased armor or just freeze duration. We don't need freeze duration, but we've got 6% max life and dot multi, and that's basically it for all of the jewels and the clusters and the gearing section as a whole. Let's take a look at the skills we're using. So obviously we are a Corrupting Fever build, so we're using Corrupting Fever. We've gone with the anomalous version because we're also using Ashes of the Stars, so that's quite important for us to get the anomalous one. It means that it's going to cost a lot less life for us to use the skill. We are, like I said, or I will say, we're going to use life tap a lot in this build. It's really good because we regen a lot and we generally don't have to worry too much about life. So we're pairing this with Divergent Efficacy support. This means that we are going to get a lot less reservation and life and mana cost. We're going with Empower because we want the Corrupting Fever to be as high as possible. Awaken Swift Affliction support as well. Awaken Brutality just to get loads and loads of extra physical damage, and life tap support. And this allows us to use our life to cast the skill. So you can see my life down here is just going down, but we regen so much that it doesn't really matter. So for our body armor, we've got Divergent Tornado Shot. Now this is level 1 because I've got the alternate quality is increased attack speed. We're adding in Anomalous Lesser Multiple Projectile support because that means that we get reduced life cost again. Life gain on hit, so every time we hit stuff, we're getting a lot of life back. Especially as we're using Tornado Shot, we're hitting a lot of stuff all the time. GMP, unsurprisingly, we get increased projectile damage. Life tap again because we're using most of our mana for reservation of skills, and then awaken chain support, and this means that we can chain our projectiles a lot. Now we've got a lot of auras to go through, but we've got an Enlighten, unsurprisingly, for our Malevolence, our Determination, and our Pride. These you just want to get them to level 21, then we'll be able to fix the rest with the Enlighten because there's a lot of mana we're trying to reserve. I think I'm down to 14 mana. We're using Blood Rage as well. This is a great buff for physical damage. We've got another Herald here. Well, we've got a Herald here, but Herald of Purity, and then another Enlighten to make this a bit easier, and Anomalous Flesh and Stone. And Anomalous Flesh and Stone allows us to get extra evasion and armor, which is pretty good. Obviously, also, whilst you're in Sand stance, you take less enemy damage. Over here in our boots, we've got Anomalous Blood and Sand to go with our Anomalous Flesh and Stone, and this means whilst we're in Sand stance, we get more Area of Effect. We also get increased projectile damage and increased projectile speed whilst we're in Sand stance. So that means our Tornado Shot is very, very fast. We're going with Molten Shell. I've got it on the left click, so you can see here if I just walk around, then my Molten Shell triggers, and it's a lot of extra physical damage reduction. We've got Dash for a movement skill, so you can dash around pretty easily. As we've got the Ashes of the Stars Amulet, the cooldown recovery on this is pretty good. We're up to 15% increased cooldown recovery, 35% in total, and a lot of distance traveled. And then again, life tap support. So this means we can do players cannot regenerate maps very, very easily. And we've also got in it, we've got a Maloney's. You don't have to have this. This is entirely optional, but it just made the most sense to me. So we've got MAME support and Anomalous Frenzy, so we can get some Frenzy charge generation and Culling Strike support. And the Maloney's, the reason for that is trigger a socketed bow skill when you attack with a bow with a 1 second cooldown. So we're going to be culling some stuff, we're going to be gaining Frenzy charges, and we're going to be maiming things so that they take more damage. So those are the skills we're using. Obviously, the auras all very much contribute to physical damage over time, and just armor. Determination is a great mechanic at the moment, so I would highly recommend. No matter what build you're using, you get determination as well. Okay, so that's the build. I can honestly say this is S++ mega extra lulz tier mapping. It's so good. I've pushed it quite a lot. There's still many things that I could sink a bunch more money into. I don't even have like awakened greater multiple projectile support. There's a few other things that we could do here. We could maybe get a slightly better ring. The curse enemies with vulnerability on hit synthesis implicit is the most important part in the ring, but maybe we could get some more life, we could get some more resistance, something like that. I mean, it's at 19% resistance from the catalysts. We could just chuck one extra catalyst on. There's quite a lot left. I mean, obviously these flasks could do with a rework as well, but I can't recommend this build enough. I think I'm probably going to League start with it in about a month. So hoping that you'll join me on that adventure. It's just so good. But, patch notes and Chris Olsen, depending. Hopefully I'll see you here in a month. Or, check it out as your end of league gamble build. If you want to, I just can't recommend it enough. You make so much money with this build because mapping, this is such a good league for mapping. And this is the best mapper. You make so much money. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm going to be league starting it probably next league, depending on the other builds I start out with. I finish off this league with. But with that, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the stream. If you have any questions, please come and ask them. I'm going to be putting out a full crafting guide for every single piece of gear that I have here. And I can't wait to meet you. So thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.